JJ the CPA here. Hope you're doing well. So, why did I become a CPA? Why should you become a CPA? Well, I'll tell you this. So, I've been practicing now for 28 years in public accounting. I've got my own CPA practice, and I've been in public my entire career, in tax pretty much my entire career other than the first 6 months, which I spent doing auditing at the public firm that I was at, public CPA firm I was at. And what held true in what I thought it would be to be a CPA is that things are always changing. And I like that. So in tax, what's always changing is the tax laws. But also what changes is my client's circumstances and then how I apply these ever-changing tax laws to their circumstances. And I'm helping somebody, helping them save taxes, understanding their numbers. And that was probably the biggest attraction to being a CPA, is that I would be able to help people, and I'd be able to do it with a different level of credibility. Now, if you're doing auditing, the standards that you follow for auditing, they don't change that often, but you are dealing with different clients all the time. They are having evolving needs, or they're changing, and you're applying, in essence, the American Institute of CPA standards that go along with auditing or compiling or reviewing financials, and you're helping that business. Now, I will tell you a big difference between tax and audit is that in tax, people want you to help them. With audit, it's a kind of a necessary evil, meaning a company wouldn't select themselves to go through a financial audit if they didn't have to, because it's probing and you're having to provide a lot of information and you're being questioned. But nonetheless, you are helping that business. It's just that in tax, they want you there. In audit, they're ready for you to leave. I'd probably say for those that might fit the personality of maybe being a police officer or someone in law enforcement or a judge or an umpire, where they're basically saying, well, here's the rules and we're going to apply them for better or worse, that would be a great personality for doing auditing. For tax, it would be somebody that is looking for the smile, is looking for some feedback of, wow, thanks for helping me out. Appreciate you at least knowing that I've saved taxes or that we tried, and understanding my numbers. So that's what held true. When I really set out to be a CPA, I did know in high school that I wanted to be in the business world some way, shape, or form. Now, I thought potentially originally it would be something on Wall Street dealing with maybe stocks. But when I got into college and I took my first accounting class, Accounting 101, this was in Abilene, Texas. And are you ready for this? This was back in 1990, right? So a long time ago. But what I loved was how in accounting, there's a puzzle to put together. Some can call it debits and credits, but there's a puzzle to put together. And definitely when you're doing a tax return or even doing auditing, you're taking a set of circumstances, you're taking the rules, the regulations, the laws, you're applying them, you're putting together for auditing an audit report with compiled or reviewed or audited financials. And then for a tax service, of course, you're putting together a tax return. But what I liked was that sense of accomplishment that I was anticipating even on the first day of how we would get to a result, kind of like a math equation. So you definitely don't need to be good at math or like math. In fact, you're going to use a 10 key or a computer. You really don't ever want to add numbers up in your head, meaning algebra and calculus and those kind of things you're not using as a CPA, but you're using that maybe type of methodology, that way of thinking, if you will. which is problem solving, which is taking a criteria and solving for, if you will, X. But I knew that if I wanted to go in accounting, that I would then want to be a CPA. Now, I had an advantage that I grew up and my grandfather was a CPA. Now, I didn't know what that meant, and I wasn't around him other than maybe once a year when he came to visit. But when I was with him, the few times, the things that he talked about and the stories that he told about how he was helping people or his customers or the things that he got to do in life, the experiences that he was having sounded very exciting. And he owned his own practice, his own tax practice. So what I coupled together then was, well, if I like accounting, it's a service, looked more into being a CPA. I knew my sophomore year at the beginning of that year that I then wanted to become a CPA. I talked with my grandfather the first day of my first accounting class and said, tell me more about what you do. What does it mean to be a CPA? And he indicated that the benefit of being a CPA is that you will always have those letters behind your name. And even if you don't stay in accounting, even if you don't do tax or auditing, you're not in public accounting, or you don't do anything related to accounting, you'll always have those three letters, and it will always provide credibility to you the second you walk in the room or upon someone learning you're a CPA. So no matter if you're in marketing or own your own business or you get into fundraising, you name it, things revolve around money one way, shape, or form. So if you're an attorney or a banker or a financial advisor, or you're going into stocks or bonds or any of those kind of things, being a CPA brings a different level of credibility. If you're a business owner and you're understanding how your business works, you're going to understand that better because you understand numbers. But then those that potentially you're trying to do business with or dealing with a bank, et cetera, knowing that you're a CPA, they're going to know there's something different about you. The credentials that go along with that speak for themselves, starting with the amount of time and effort and work, dedication, integrity that it requires to become and maintain being a CPA. What I didn't really anticipate was how true that rang from what my grandfather had told me. Now, I left college early. I mean, I skipped my senior year of high school. And so when my grandfather was talking to me back in 1990, I was 18 years old. So in visiting with my grandfather at the time, at the youth that I was at the time, I really couldn't fathom how true it is what he said, which is that credibility that you're afforded because you have those three letters. In fact, in some ways, you have to pull back people's expectations. They really figure that if you're a CPA, that you must know everything about anything related to numbers and financials, from the stock market to real estate to budgeting to taxes, even if you're not in taxes, to auditing. They will assume that you probably save the most money and you have a ton of money in retirement and you know about budgeting and you never waste any money. And you really then will learn as you progress in your career, whether it's in accounting or not, but most people, as they grow in experience, they become much more focused in or specialized, if you will. And just the same as if somebody goes to medical school and they become a doctor, most become a specialist typically in one area or another. And so many think, well, if you're a doctor, you must know everything about tendons and feet and toes and the heart and the brain and cancer and recovery and weight loss and things to that effect, when most doctors, they may have an idea about that. They may be around it, but they're specializing in something very focused in on a specific aspect of the medical world. But one of the things my grandfather didn't tell me, I don't think he paralleled it this way, but when you're dealing with somebody, you in the medical field, and you line up all the professionals, all the wonderful individuals you're going to potentially interact with, such as nurses and PAs and medical assistants or dental assistants or hygienists, you name it, when the doctor walks in the room, they're the ones that's going to carry the heaviest weight in their advice or their explanation of what's going on or the solution that should be followed and the recommendations. Now, you might have a nurse or a PA that could have a lot more experience than a doctor just based on age and number of years in the field, but someone's going to take a doctor's word over anybody else's in the medical field, I would assume most of the time. So it's really the same in the business world. Again, it doesn't matter if you're in accounting or not. You carry those 3 letters and you're going to carry a lot of weight. So I have remained in the public accounting arena. I have been actively involved with what most people would think a CPA does, which is taxes and accounting and advisory work. But I've interacted with tons of CPAs throughout my years that are business owners, bankers, investment advisors, attorneys, CPAs that became a doctor, CPAs that got into marketing or got into church planting or fundraising or into politics, and you name it. But them carrying those 3 letters, you can see interacting with them and those that they are interacting with, that they carry a special and additional weight to what it is that they're involved with. So from my perspective, what rang true was that I was able to help people. And it was, for me, it's a fun challenge to do what I had indicated earlier, which is take a client's set of circumstances, take rules, regulations, the laws, and apply them. I like that, the change to it, if you will. And it, of course, sharpens your skills over the years, and you really do end up becoming a true expert, typically like me, in a specialized area, if you will. But even for those that aren't in the field, like I indicated, so whether it's me or somebody else, but it really has rung true that you carry a tremendous amount of credibility in carrying those 3 letters. So if you're in the realm of becoming a CPA, you need to just push through. If you're getting an accounting degree, it really makes no sense to me to not get your designation as a CPA. It would be just the same as somebody going to law school, but they don't take the bar exam to then become a practicing attorney. You can go to law school and be a JD, but you're not, in essence, a counselor at law. You're not a licensed attorney. You can go and get an accounting degree. You could call yourself an accountant, but the thing to note is anybody can call themselves an accountant if they're involved in numbers, or they just choose to call themselves that. Being a CPA just means you went that extra mile or 2 and got the letters. You passed the exam. So it's going to require a little bit more of an investment in you, really time, effort, dedication, and maybe some costs that go along with studying for it. But it's a one-time investment into yourself that will benefit you for the rest of your life. I'm here to tell you that that is the case 28 years after graduating college and then getting my CPA exam. It really has rung true that I get to help people. I get to be challenged. But even if I got out of accounting, inside or outside of the public accounting world or inside or outside of accounting, it definitely brings a different level of value that you're bringing to the table. Trust me when I tell you the biggest regret you would probably have in your life is rolling forward throughout time and then later telling somebody, most of the time if you were to interact with a CPA, you would hear what I hear time and time again. Well, I got an accounting degree and I was on my way to become a CPA, but, and there's always then some reason why they didn't become a CPA. And most of the time they say, it's the one thing I regret professionally is that I didn't just push through and get that exam. So once you graduate from college, if you just stuck with a program of studying, the mindset of I got an exam to pass, it's a lot easier than if you were to wait. Many want to take time off. I get it. I understand that, but it's not the time to take time off from it. You want to stay in that mechanism, stay in that mindset. And life starts to happen soon after graduating, when especially you then get a job and you start, quote unquote, settling down, and you get a partner, life partner, a spouse. Then you start having kiddos involved in your life, and then other priorities related to work. And as your kids get older, they have other priorities that you're looking after. And so then time becomes that much more scarce. And so the biggest encouragement I can give you is don't look left, don't look right. Go after becoming a CPA and just get it done. Know this, you're adding value to you, whether it's professionally or personally, and you're adding 3 letters to your name that is going to help you forever. Not to mention, you're going to make more money no matter what it is that you're doing, because you have that one extra credential, that one extra set of value provided interaction with those that are around you. And it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So I love being a CPA. I'm so glad I became a CPA. And I definitely would be regretting not getting those 3 letters behind my name. All right, hey, stick with it. Stay with it. If you need a little encouragement, here's what you can do. Write your name down and then put CPA after it. Sign your name and put CPA after that, because the only thing standing between you and that as a reality is passing the exam. And you can do it. And I tell you this, we need you. We need you to become a CPA. All right, hey, thanks for tuning in. I'd love it if you'd subscribe. And then don't you ever forget, you've never met a CPA quite like me. All right, have a great one, and best of luck to you.